Why am I bringing this up? It's what I do best. I screw up 5 times a day for breakfast. I'm not going crazy on this one. I'm not going crazy. Does anybody listen to me? We talk balls on sports radio. JT the Brick. I don't have those anymore. That's off the top of my head. The whole radio show's off the top of my head. I don't have a 3-hour pre-show meeting like those other guys where the interns write the show. It's all off the top of my head. We make memories on this show for the Raider Nation. Jump on with us. Do your job. Win these games. Let's be up 10 points in the fourth quarter. Let's go in and shock the world. We are not the official show of the practice squad. I want to talk about the starters and the impact guys. We're going to put this is hardcore. If you turn the channel, don't embarrass Bob. Maybe you're going to get some direction today. No half-assed. I bring passion and energy for every second I'm on the radio. And now, it's a tweet. Don't take it too seriously. Here's JT.
Out of the
Oh my goodness.
Out of the gate. Does that work? Are we on the radio? Yes, we are, and we're live on YouTube. JT with you from the studios of Lotus Broadcasting as we're ready to roll, and congratulations to me. I got myself up on the YouTube stream today without my son, which I must be getting better. So we're on YouTube if you want to go check that out. We've had a really good time on that. Launched it. There's already people there. YouTube, JT the Brick, YT on the end of that YouTube, JT the Brick. And you can subscribe and check out what we're doing in studio, which is not much. It's just a screen of me. But eventually we're going to have guests. We're going to be live from Radio Row. I'm going to have this thing rocking here in the next couple of weeks here. The Raider offseason, there is no offseason in the NFL, and that's the focus of the monologue, brought to you by Golden Entertainment. I was just talking to my friends over at Golden and PTs, and they have you covered for the Super Bowl. There's mass confusion in Vegas. It's the haves and have-nots. No, PTs is the haves. They will serve you. They will give you great food, unbelievable drink specials if you're in town. You know, we got a global audience that can hear us here on the Raiders mobile app and on YouTube. So if you're coming into town for the Super Bowl, you can't miss it. PTs, Sean Patrick, Sierra Gold, the SG Bar, PT's Gold, they're everywhere, and they're a proud partner of the show, and we really appreciate them. So they start me off every day as we're ready to roll. There is a little bit of breaking news. Most of the NFL insiders are all chilling in Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl. And I'm going to get to that in a minute because I think I got a pretty cool topic to open up the show with. But the Seahawks have made news today. They hired the Ravens defensive coordinator, Mike McDonald, as their coach. All right, let's begin with this. Why is Pete Carroll gone and Mike McDonald in? I thought that they fired in Seattle too early and they put together the exit strategy of Pete Carroll. There's going to be a statue of Pete Carroll outside their stadium, and they change the name of that stadium every 2 years. I'll call it Seahawks Stadium. In a couple of years, there's going to be a statue of Pete Carroll. There's not going to be a statue of Mike McDonald. Why did they run Pete Carroll out of Seattle? Because Pete Carroll ran Russell Wilson out and saved Seattle all the heartache of dealing with Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson's a good quarterback. He is a Hall of Famer if he doesn't screw up the next 2 or 3 years. Russell Wilson didn't have as bad of a year as you thought last year with Denver. He didn't. I got his numbers here in front of me. They're not as bad as people made him out to be. But Seattle thought that, Pete would kick up and go upstairs, and they'd get Dan Quinn, and then they'd go down this road, and they'd be okay again. With who? Geno Smith? Geno Smith is the franchise quarterback. I mean, they don't have a quarterback long-term, and they don't have a head coach, and they're taking this young guy from the Ravens defense. How'd the Ravens defense look in the last game? Pretty good. They shut out Mahomes in the second half. But this was Dan Quinn's job, and he lost the job because the Cowboys got blown out by Green Bay. So follow me here. Dan Quinn was a lock to be the head coach of the Seahawks, a done deal. Dallas loses so violently to Green Bay, he's out of a job. Dan Quinn worked his whole life since high school to be a football player and coach. And one game with the Dallas Cowboys, one game, he lost the Seahawks job. And they don't have Pete Carroll to go back to. And I'm sure this kid's good. I'm sure he's a good coach. I'm not saying he's not. He could be great. Let's see what happens here. Some guys start young. Bill Belichick? Bill Belichick wasn't available for Seattle? Probably not. So this kid is 36 years old. Wow. I'm 20 plus years older than him. He's the head coach of the Seahawks, and he's replacing a 72-year-old Pete Carroll. Okay. You know, there's a lot of people in America that can't get jobs because of their age. You're aware of this, right? There are great people in this country who cannot keep their job in their 50s, 60s, and 70s because there's a bias against their age. By no means am I saying that that's a problem in the NFL. By no means. Belichick's in his 70s. Pete Carroll's in his 70s. Jerry Jones is in his 80s, I believe. He's an owner, very vibrant. Robert Kraft. And there are elderly women who own teams in Chicago and Detroit. And there are women who work throughout the NFL. But this year wasn't good if you're an old-timer, man. You can't get a job if you're Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll. You can't get a job. We're hiring 36-year-olds to take over an organization to be the head coach, and we're moving 70-year-old guys out. Bill Belichick can't get an interview. Bill bleeping Belichick was not in the running for the Seahawks job because I guess everybody's too proud to give some of these old-timers a job here. I find it fascinating. I think it's a very important topic that no one's talking about here on the radio. So Pete Carroll, I don't know what he's going to do. I think he wanted the Charger job, and Jim Harbaugh was the biggest name out there. Jim Harbaugh deserves that job. Well, look, Jim Harbaugh was the biggest name out there, period. He was going to get any job he wanted. Any job that he wanted, and it wasn't the Raider job because the Raiders have Antonio Pierce, but any other job he wanted, Harbaugh could have just snapped his fingers and got it. But I'm not surprised that McDonald at 36 got a job. He's a defensive coordinator. And Seattle held the second in-person interview with Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson in his 30s, who told the Seahawks and the Commanders that he was going to stay in Detroit. Because reports are, and they're out there, that Ben Johnson wanted $15 million to become a head coach. Wow. Man, the leverage of these young guys. Really? Is this NBA entitlement all over again? I'm not going to take your job. And the news broke in LA that Harbaugh's making $16 million a year. $16 million. Remember when the internet melted down when John Gruden got 10 years, $10 million a year, $100 million? They have soared right past that. Soared right past that. So to be an NFL head coach, if you're a good one, it's $15 million. I have no idea. It's none of my business what Antonio Pierce is making. Don't care. Don't need to know. But these coaches now, Alabama, Nick Saban was a $15 million a year guy. So to coach football, man, if you're good, anywhere from $10 to $15 million. And that's pretty important because when you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar business, the face of that business is the head coach or the quarterback. They deserve to get a lot of that money there. So I have lost my mind here in the last couple of weeks, privately, lost my mind on the shaming of Bill Belichick. I believe, how do I say this without offending people? But I'm in sports radio and media where everybody offends everybody. I am so disappointed in the stupidity of sports fans who are judging Bill Belichick without Tom Brady. I find that to be one of the dumbest topics of all time. Phil Jackson never had a coach without who? Kobe, Shaq, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen. What do you want to do? If Phil Jackson would have left Jordan and Pippen and then went to Charlotte and only won 30 games, would you say he's trash? Yes, you would. You'd say he's trash. You would rip him down and tear him down like a president, a senator, a movie star, a rock star going into rehab. You'd tear that person down. You'd say that they're a failure. Wait a minute. What do you mean Phil Jackson's got like 11 rings? What do you mean he's a failure? No, he's a failure. He won 33 games with Charlotte. Phil didn't do that. Phil was smart to go to the Bulls and the Lakers. Bill Belichick stayed with the Patriots. What would have happened if Tom Brady left to go to the Bucs and Bill said, I want out of here. I want to go to the Giants. The Giants would have took him the next day. But now everybody's judging Bill Belichick by his last 2 years. My head's going to explode. How dare you do that to a guy who spent his whole life? I told the story. I went to the NFL Hall of Fame, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and they're building an archive in the basement that I was lucky enough to go to with my wife on a private tour. When Cliff Branch got in, we had to wear white gloves. We weren't allowed to touch anything. And some gentleman pointed to us and said, that's Bill Belichick's internship letter with the Detroit Lions. They're building a room for Bill Belichick. And I got people on the YouTube stream and people right now saying JT's out of his mind. Belichick sucks. Belichick's not the GOAT. Belichick, are you serious? Are you kidding me? So we know that Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick are not available. McDonald said, I don't want to work for under $15 million. And the new kid who got the job today, who you've never heard of your whole life. You've never heard of him. All of a sudden has a job now. And we're talking about Mike McDonald being the head coach of the Seahawks. I'm all for younger people getting big jobs. That's how the world goes. But the level of disrespect for Pete Carroll, I think Dan Quinn, Bill Belichick is at an all-time high. I'd like you to call in on that topic. Again, if I don't have a Raiders exclusive day, we're not going to do Raiders. We're not. We're talking about the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl, coaches hiring, one more job left, and the Raiders are down and doing a great job. They're down there in Mobile, Alabama, and from Vinny Bonsignore, who I've reached out to, everybody is talking about Michael Penix Jr. Okay, so that's what I wanted to throw out as a topic here, and not go and be disrespectful to Aiden O'Connell. So this is important that I throw this out. Aiden O'Connell currently is the quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm good with that. I believe that Aiden O'Connell should have to compete for that job next year. I believe that if a better quarterback is brought into the organization, he will start over Aiden O'Connell. I mean, this ain't brain surgery. This is not breaking news for a Raiders website. If Aiden O'Connell is our only option, we, the season ticket holders of the Raiders, because we couldn't move up in the draft to get a quarterback in the top 3, and we can't get a veteran such as Baker Mayfield or Kirk Cousins, I'm okay with Aiden O'Connell. I thought Aiden got a lot of reps. I didn't agree with it all the time. I told you I would have sat Aiden O'Connell for a quarter or a half and brought in Jimmy Garoppolo in the Minnesota game. I think most people agree with me. But Aiden O'Connell can play. Thank God we know that Aiden O'Connell can play. But today, my specific call out and call to action to you is Bo Nix or Michael Penix Jr. You don't have to trade up in the top 5. You don't have to give up 2 number ones to get him. The Raiders could get Bo Nix, I believe, and Michael Penix Jr. at 13. Might have to move up to 11. Might have to move up to 10. Not the end of the world. Could do that easy. Which quarterback do you like more? They both played at Allegiant Stadium in the final game ever in Pac-12 history. Last game ever played in the Pac-12 was in Vegas between Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr. Michael Penix Jr. had a big lead. Bo Nix came back and took the lead, and Washington won and went to the national championship game. So from the video I saw down there of Vinny and everybody else who was there, from the video, everybody is going nuts for Michael Penix Jr. He's throwing the ball deep. The ball's coming out. He's big, strong. He's got the hand size that everybody craves. Everybody measures the hand. They measure the hand. He's got a big hand. God forbid you have a smaller hand. He has a big one. So that's one of the stories that are there. So as we are opening up the show today, anything you want to add is we do not have any new news as of yet. Okay, we don't have any new news on the Raiders OC, but they interviewed a lot of guys. I don't have the exact number. Levi Edwards later in the show will tell us. And everyone's been vetted. And nice job by Mark Davis and everybody else. Everybody's been vetted for the OC. Period. Everybody who's available, they've been in the Raider building, as far as I can tell. Other than Arthur Smith, the former head coach that was just fired by Atlanta, and he ended up becoming the OC of Pittsburgh. Other than that, everybody's been interviewed. Most Raider fans that I see want Cliff Kingsbury. I like Alex Van Pelt if he's there. I like Cliff Kingsbury. And if they want to go off the beaten path with someone else, I'm sure he's going to be vetted and fit into what Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco want to do going forward. But we're going to talk quarterback today because next week I'm talking about Brock Purdy and Patrick Mahomes. Today I want to hear about your quarterback. This is off-season Raider topic, big, heading into the Super Bowl before we're on Radio Row. Let's jump in at 702-365-9200. Gangster Raider can start us off today. We appreciate it. Go ahead. Good to hear from you. Oh, 50-5-0, man. I already passed that track. Good for you. What are you going to do on your 50th?
We had a big old birthday party for me on Friday. So we having a dinner tonight.
Nice.
Comedy Club. They're gonna do it here. But, yesterday was the Raiders' birthday, too. So happy birthday to the Raiders. Happy 50th birthday to me. And also, I want to say that as far as the quarterbacks, I'm with either if we don't go get Fields, you know what I'm saying? It depends on the cost for Fields. I say we go get Fields. Or I know a lot of people going to think this is controversial, but hear me out. If we can't go get Fields, if the price is too high, I say we go get Russell Wilson because he has guaranteed contract for $39 million that the Broncos have to pay. So if he signs with us for the minimum, whatever money we give him goes to the Broncos, and he'd be playing for us pretty much for free, and the Broncos will be paying the bill. That'd be like a slap in the face of him, and he might win the starting job. You know what I'm saying? Be paying him a veteran minimum. So either those two, if either one of those two don't work out, then I say go for Bo Nix. You know what I mean? But as far, I also think it's a day of celebration because they hired the Seattle coach, so that means Patrick Graham is staying with us, hopefully, I believe, because that was the only head coaching job he was a candidate for, right? And so that means it's another celebration. We get to keep PG. And as far as offensive coordinators, you said that everybody's been in the building. Have you heard anything about Eric Bieniemy? Because that's who I want as OC is Eric Bieniemy. Has he been anywhere in the conversation?
No, not that I know about, and I want to wish you a happy birthday again as we got to roll. Thank you, gangster. Happy birthday to you. No, and I'm a big Eric Bieniemy guy. I have a problem with this league. I've done a lot of Eric Bieniemy radio for a long period of time. I've said Eric Bieniemy should have been a head coach by now. I don't think he's interviewed well. I think that Captain Obvious could tell you that. I could call in Captain Obvious, but I thought that Eric Bieniemy would be a head coach by now. But you made a couple of good points about Russell Wilson. That I don't want to really go down a deep rabbit hole with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is a brilliant quarterback his entire career. He's a Walter Payton Man of the Year. If you can get him for 30 cents or 20 cents on the dollar or 70 cents on the dollar, pretty much everybody would. They would love to have Russell Wilson. Don't tell me about the culture. Please don't tell me about his culture. He has a Walter Payton Man of the Year patch. He visits children's hospitals every week. He pays for children's hospitals to be open for business. Don't ever call my show and say Russell Wilson's bad for culture. Stop. It's another garbage Belichick's not the GOAT. He's done thing. I am not campaigning for Russell Wilson, nor do I think the Raiders are going to go down that road. But I didn't think the Raiders would go down a Jimmy Garoppolo road. They did. There's a lot of things that are going to happen that are above my pay grade. But if Russell Wilson came to Las Vegas, it wouldn't be the end of the world. You'd have one of the greatest quarterbacks of the last 15 years, still in the prime of his career because he's nowhere near 38, 39, 40. And he's got a chip on his shoulder. I don't think it's going to happen. If it did happen, would I be shocked? I would not be shocked. I'd be surprised. But hey, isn't this what we're talking about with Tom Telesco, who we had on the radio last week? We don't know what he's going to do. He was brought in because he's a veteran GM who understands budgets, caps, who's available, who's not available, how to trade up. He knows every GM in the league to call them about a trade, and they're going to figure it out. But, for the people who say that Russell Wilson is washed, again, these are the same guys who play football once a year on Thanksgiving, the Turkey Bowl, and pull a hamstring. And they're telling me that Russell Wilson's washed. No, he's not. The Raiders have to get another option at quarterback, just another option, because they have Aiden O'Connell, who doesn't cost a lot at all. Really nice to have a quarterback in the building that beat Kansas City in Kansas City on Christmas and was the starting quarterback when the NFL asked for the football. The NFL asked for the football, the highest scoring game in Raider history, 63 points. That's the monologue brought to you by our great friends at Remy Martin. They're all over Vegas because the Super Bowl is a Remy Martin type vibe with Usher, who's performing at halftime. All right, we're ready to roll today. It's going to be a fun show. A couple of good guests lined up, your phone calls, and we're up on YouTube where I'm going to jump into the chat, brought to you by Remy Martin. All right. Good. We're in the chat here. Wow, good group. 75 people in here. Great. That's a nice start, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, this quarterback stuff. Eric Bieniemy, Jacoby Brissett to the Raiders along with a rookie in the draft. No, I don't think the Raiders want to go Jacoby Brissett. I think the Raiders have higher expectations than that.
All right, so I got the Rappaport stuff. I can play it at any time.
Yeah, I'll throw to it.
With a move to Los Angeles, where they set up shop for the next 13 years. In their first game in the legendary Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, they beat their SoCal rival San Diego and set the tone for another historic Super Bowl run.
Here's a big breaking news update I just got. I'm hosting the Jim Rome Show on Friday.
Oh, yeah?
In L.A. So I'll be hosting the Jim Rome Show on Friday in L.A. That'll be cool. TV and radio, which is nice. Jim Rome Show Friday in Costa Mesa before the Super Bowl. Yeah, I like Michael Penix Jr. too, everybody. I like Michael Penix Jr. a lot because I got a chance to see him live. Darlo says, Brick, when are you going to start putting out some merch? I am. My son's got a new logo. We're going to put that out. Fabian says, don't forget to click the like button. Thank you. Everybody, click like right now and subscribe. That's why I'm doing this. Bob Bird says, I hope to hit on the first round pick. We have struggled over the past few drafts. We've been garbage or not very good in the first round. That's got to get better. That's why Tom Telesco was brought in. Tom Telesco has been fantastic overall in the first round. He's been very good. Guy says 731. Will the Queefs be in the official Raiders locker room? I don't think so. One thing about Allegiant Stadium, they have a bunch of locker rooms. UNLV. I don't think they're going to be in the Raiders locker room. No, I think they're going to be in one of the UNLV Raiderettes locker room. And remember, there's a opposing team locker room where that's the opposition stays. It's gorgeous. It's massive. And that's where the Niners will be. And then they'll move the Chiefs and put them in another one. Oh, here's a great trivia question. Today at Coffee Bean, I drove into the drive-up, Coffee Bean. I asked for one non-fat hot latte.
Okay.
That's it. One non-fat hot latte. You start us off. Guess how much it costs for one non-fat hot latte?
I'm gonna say $6.99.
No, that's no, but you're not that far off. The point is, I know, when people work, they're working. You don't berate people that work.
Yeah.
So I tipped on top of the price.
Yeah.
But I go, wow. I even said it. I go, really? I'll let you know what the price is. Unbelievable. I'll put that in the chat here in a little bit. We're going to get my buddy Johnny Mack on, the ticket broker, coming up.
Okay.
Absolutely, Dad. Houses are vanishing faster than
Does Bobby usually play music when you come to play?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're turning brains into keys for the new year ahead.
Let me find
Commercial
something
spaces,
quick.
land, and new builds too. Plus, we're fluent in the language of real estate. And hey, a little Spanish never hurts. También hablamos español. Need to sell? We're the champions of quick sales. Repairs, upgrades, you name it. Start the year off with a cat.
Yeah, I'm going to put it in the chat here. This is how much the latte cost.
The real estate guys are here to make those dreams real. Happy New Year! So call 702-310-6683. eXp Realty, license number 3886.
All right, here we go.
Talk to Aaron Taylor.
The real estate guy.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Modelo Especial, the new #1 beer in the U.S.
Oh, I love the fact that Steph McKenzie is the voice of the show. Just saw her today. What a great, legendary rock jock she is. Magnum's in for Bobby today. Bobby will be back tomorrow, and we have a big rest of the week. And on the YouTube stream, appreciate that. A lot of people in there. Click like and subscribe. We thank you a lot for that. So I'm going to be able to, I don't read texts. I'll read this in the chat if something good is in there. And we're trying to figure out what the Raiders are going to do with the offensive coordinator position. The other topic to call in on, if you'd like to call in on, would be the shaming of Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll. That's exactly the only way I can phrase it. And it's still a point in time where you could call in and tell me, if you're a Raider fan, how are you going to handle not rooting for either one of these teams, but knowing you're going to have to root for one. That's one of the things that I've tried to describe this week to the best of my ability on the broadcast. I despise the Kansas City Chiefs, despise them at all costs. They are number one. I grew up in New York as a kid, as a Giant fan. I hated the Eagles, almost died at an Eagles game. Hated the Eagles. I don't have any hate anymore for the Red Sox or the Eagles. I despise Kansas City. I've been with the Raiders over 2 decades. I don't want to see Kansas City win. And my really big take is I like to stop dynasties. I don't like dynasties unless they're my team. So as a Yankee fan, I've experienced a dynasty in my life. Derek Jeter won 4 out of 5 Super Bowls, World Series. So I watched the dynasty play in front of me, and I was a part of it. I was on the radio. I went to the games, and I was a fan. I don't want to watch your team become a dynasty because it's not good for my teams. Kansas City is on the verge of becoming a dynasty. The Niners are not. The Niners were a dynasty with Montana, not Young, but Young could say, on the team, but Young wanted to be known for his one Super Bowl. Because Steve Young, if you read his book, one of the best books, sports books I've ever read, he didn't cash his checks. Lee Steinberg had to say, open the draw up. No, that's not how it works. No, I don't play. I'm not going to cash the checks. Well, you know how much he was making? They're like, you got to cash these checks. So the Niner dynasty was Bill Walsh and Joe Montana. The Patriot dynasty was Belichick and Brady. If Kansas City loses a week from Sunday, they are not a dynasty. That is more important to me than the Niners winning. So if the Niners win, not a Niner guy, cut my teeth in the Bay Area talking to a lot of Niner fans throughout my career. A lot of my friends are Niner fans. My cousin's a Niner fan in Dublin. I don't hate the Niners, but Raider fans do. Diehard Raider fans hate the Niners. Some of them more so than Kansas City. God, that's a juicy topic, man. That's one that works. That's a really good sports radio topic that you only get in Philadelphia and in Boston. You don't get that in New Orleans. They don't talk like that in other markets. We can talk about this in this young market of Las Vegas because we're new and we're trying to become our own market. And the only strength that Vegas has, it's not the size of the media market. It's not the population. It's none of that. The strength that we have is that we're a global hub for a worldwide sports team, not the Golden Knights, not UNLV, okay, not the future A's. We're the global hub. We're the global airport hub for the Raider Nation. And we got a brand new stadium, and we have no state taxes, and we have legalized gambling, and we have nightclubs and bars that are open 24 hours a day. We have an advantage. We have a great city because we're the sports and entertainment capital of the world. This is where Muhammad Ali and Floyd Mayweather fought. This is the place right here. So the Raiders are now taking baby steps, not giant steps, in trying to become a Super Bowl contender. And now the steps are getting more magnified with Tom Telesco and Antonio Pierce. But Kansas City's already there. And they must be stopped at all costs. They must be beat. They have to be taken down. I don't know how. Brock Purdy is going to do it. Brock Purdy hasn't even played well, but he played great in the second half of that game. Oh, my God, he played great. Not good. He was fantastic. He ran the ball more effectively than Patrick Mahomes and ran it more effectively than Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson. So with all that being said, Kansas City, in my opinion, I feel like Kansas City is going to win because it's Mahomes versus Purdy. Well, you're going to say, no, it's not. It's the team versus the team. No, it's kind of Mahomes versus Purdy. Who's going to have the better game? Phil Simms outplayed a young John Elway in another Super Bowl that I went to. Okay, Super Bowl 21, not 25. Phil Simms outplayed John Elway. John Elway was young. I don't know what year he was in. He had to be in his second or third year. Phil Simms, they were trying to run out of New York. He had one of the greatest games in Super Bowl history, ever, completion percentage-wise. And the Giants and Lawrence Taylor destroyed Denver, and they were down 10-9 at the half. They won that game because of the experience of Phil Simms over John Elway. And Elway turned out to be a Hall of Famer, not Phil Simms. So you would think, And the one other thing I want to say, and it's also Fabian said this in the chat, can the 49ers go out here? Can they stop Kelsey? Oh, they have the best linebackers, I think, that can do it, especially Warner and Greenlaw. Those guys, they put their hands on you, man. They'll punch you in the mouth. Those Niner linebackers are legit. They are legit. So if Kelsey is able to pick up a first down and make the love sign with his hands to his future wife, because, by the way, he's got to marry her now, which sucks in life if you don't want to marry someone. The worst thing you want to do is if you don't want to get engaged and you want to date someone, then when you find out you're on television every 10 seconds talking about it, you got no choice other than to get married. So I don't know how much they love each other. I wish them nothing but the best. But they have no choice now. They have to walk down the aisle together because TV is going to make them do it. TV is going to make them do it. They're going to be forced to do this because of the television conspiracy. But I digress. All right, 702-365-9200 as we open up the show. Hardcore Raider is up next. What do you see? Go ahead. Good, thanks. Mm-hmm. 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 They did me dirty. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. You're right. Mm-hmm.
Like guys like Phil Jackson, he was with Michael Jordan, and then went over to the Lakers and won a championship with the Lakers as well. And I know the Lakers had a super all-star team with Shaq and Kobe and all that. But for me, like if I'm gonna say like Bill Belichick, I do think he's the best coach, but he needs to do it again. He needs to win a Super Bowl with another team outside of Brady, not to still remain number one, but just to prove that, like to himself or other people, I think that he does have what it takes in his older age, because Shula tried to do it and he struggled, and it's never going to take away from his greatness, but sometimes guys get older and it's just tough to do it, and football's the ultimate team sport. So without Brady or Belichick, maybe neither.
Okay, let me jump in. I got to keep going, man. I got everyone to wrap it up, though. I appreciate your call as always. Keep calling in, Hardcore. You couldn't have disrespected Bill Belichick more at the end of that phone call. You said he has to do something else. No, he doesn't. He's greatness. He doesn't have to do anything else. He's got luxury boats. He has real estates on Cape Cod. He's worth $100+ million. And you call into the show, and I really appreciate your call, Hardcore Raider. You said he has to do something else to prove something to you. No, he doesn't. He's accomplished everything in life. He is at the top of Mount Rushmore, and people say, well, he's got to prove he can win one more in his 70s. My dad retired, I think, at 58 or 59, at the top of his job in the government, top of his job. Still ended up working. I've been trying to make this topic because it's personal to me. Don't ever judge anyone in life by their last job. Magnum, you're working today. You're going to have 10 bigger jobs than this one in your career, and no one should judge you by this job or the 5th job down the line or the 10th job. We live in a society where everybody judges everyone by their last job. Well, you can't do it that way. You can't judge anyone by what they did at 72 compared to what they did at 39 or 41. And I think that's what's happening with Belichick, is people are saying, well, the last vision we had of you, the Patriots sucked and you walked off the field. Well, what about the visions of him walking off the field winning 8 Super Bowls? Can't we judge him for that?
Yeah, well, and it's the ageism too, right? I mean,
that seems to be an issue. My father, he was forced out. 25 years with a very, very large bank.
Mhm.
Won't say which one, but they did him dirty. We're going to hire someone a little bit younger than you. He makes half of what you make, and well, hopefully it works out. Thanks for your service. So I disagree that he needs to do something else. The guy. Look, I can say this as a Jets fan, and it makes me sick to say it. He's the greatest coach of all time.
Yeah.
Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. There's zero debate about any of it. It makes me sick. It's like a punch in the gut. And the funny thing is, I agree with you to a point, like with the Bay Area stuff, because I grew up watching the Giants win Super Bowls.
Mm.
All my friends celebrating. Watching the Yankees win Super Bowls. My friends celebrating. As a Mets fan, it hurts. But at the end of the day, when the Giants play the Patriots in the Super Bowl, I'm a Giants fan because I will always root for New York over Boston in anything. I don't care if it's the Nets and the Celtics.
Right.
I don't care if it's the Rangers and the Bruins. It's New York over Boston.
I agree with you 100%. The hardest Super Bowl that I ever had to root was the team I hated the most as a kid, the Eagles over the Patriots, Nick Foles.
Oh.
Because we wanted Nick Foles to win that game because the Eagles hadn't won since 1960, Chuck Bednarik. So it wasn't the end of the world. It wasn't like they're a dynasty, but the Patriots had so many Super Bowls. Got to remember that Brady lost to Nick Foles and Eli Manning twice. Let's just say Brady didn't lose to Nick Foles and Eli twice. We're talking about him. That would be 10 Super Bowls. He's got 7. We'd add the Nick Foles 8 and the 2 Eli's would have been 10. I mean, that's how weird this is with Mahomes, everybody. Mahomes wins another one here in Vegas. It's going to be magnified. You're going to say 20 years from now, hey, Mahomes won 6 Super Bowls or 5 or 4. Which one do you remember the most? Oh, Vegas. Taylor Swift was at the game. I swear on my name, that will be the biggest victory because Taylor Swift was there. And there's going to be another 15 million people watching because of her in the building. We got to stop this guy. We got to stop him in the Raider Nation, and I think we all agree with that. And Laho, what do we got? We got a couple of guys checking in. Raiders should sign Russell Wilson. Well, look, again, I don't know who the Raiders are going to sign, but the buzz for Russell Wilson was from one column that was written, from Jeremy Fowler, and got everybody going about that. Russell Wilson is on the cheap here. You can get him for a deal. Now, Hardcore Raider made a really good point at the end of his call before we come back about Kirk Cousins. What I liked about Hardcore Raiders' call the most is he's thinking the way I am. I've always thought of the Raiders since I got hired by the team long term. No more. I'm thinking the Raiders 1 to 3 years. 1 to 3 years for the team and football to win. They have to win in the next 3 years. That's why they brought in Tom Telesco and didn't say, we're going younger. That's why AP got the job, not because of his experience, because he's got the locker room in the palm of his hand now. I don't know what the locker room is going to look like with Antonio Pierce 3 years from now. I know what it looks like now. So this is a run for the Raiders to must win now. Kirk Cousins gives you that chance. You bring in Kirk Cousins, he's a hell of a quarterback, but he doesn't play great in his biggest games. Remember, he checked down on 4th down against Daniel Jones and the Giants. That was their best chance for Minnesota to win a Super Bowl, and he checked down on 4th down. It reminded me of Derek Carr, who I think highly of Derek Carr. Derek Carr had 1st and goal at the 9 against Cincinnati. 1st and goal at the 9, and we didn't put it in the end zone. We were checking down. I need a quarterback in here now, 1st and 5, to win the Super Bowl or to win the AFC or to get to the playoffs. 1st and goal at the 5. That quarterback can run to the goal line on 1st down. He can sprint right. He can roll his shoulder, dive in, and score on 1st down. Who's that guy? Is it Justin Fields? I've seen Russell Wilson do it many times. Is it Bo Nix? Is it Michael Penix Jr.? Who is it? I don't know. It's the job of Tom Telesco. And I'm confident from talking to Tom, he's going to be the guy. Hey, coming up, a fun interview. My buddy Johnny Mac's going to join us. He's famous in Dallas. J-Mac Tickets. On Super Bowl prices, ticket sales, and what's going on. I talk to him every year before the Super Bowl. We locked it in next. If you want to hear what these Super Bowl tickets are really going for from a famous ticket broker, stick around. That's coming up next.
We got one caller. Raiders 66.
Yep, he's great.
So you want me to?
He's
stand him up?
gonna call us.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna have him.
Gonna call.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, what do we got in the chat, everybody? Yeah, Hardcore Raider. I didn't mean to blast you at the end, but he said if he wins the Super Bowl without Brady, nothing's going to take away what he's the best of all time. But I disagree. I don't think he has to win one game. I think he's past Shula, but he's going to get those wins 100%. Fabian, what are you saying? Fabian roots for the Chiefs to lose. Fabian sits by me at the game. I know his passion.
From our father to our family to the expert legal team at the Castroverde, we founded this firm for you. We're the Castroverde brothers, and we have your back. Brothers with
Mick Flair. Hey there, Brickster. First off, want to apologize for forgetting Lions coach Dan Campbell's first name. No need to apologize, Mick. Congratulations. Hey, Mick, you're going to love this. The famed roadie from the Fillmore, Tony Cambo. Cambo's staying at my house all week. We're supposed to go see a band called Lettuce on Thursday night, but I had to cancel because I'm flying to host the Jim Rome show. Oh, they just announced Dead and Company residency at the Sphere. John Mayer.
Wow.
Yeah, Dead and Company.
Sitting in traffic or waiting in long taxi or rideshare lines, M-Ride it, and you'll get in and out.
I'm not really a big fan of John Mayer. Like, he's got some songs that are pretty good, but like, I wouldn't pay whatever you're gonna have to pay to go see him at the Sphere.
You've heard us talking about it. Now check it out. The Tailgater Tavern is your home for all Allegiant Stadium events. Less than a half mile from the stadium, the Tailgater is your pre- and post-game party destination. Eat, drink, and party before and after every Raiders game, Rebels game, concert, or special event. They have 24 beers on tap, a great menu, and wall-to-wall TV, so you'll never miss a second of the action. Eat, drink, and play 24/7. The Tailgater Tavern at Russell and Valley View, your gateway to the stadium.
Copiers, printers, service, and supplies are just the beginning. Les Olson IT is the premier source for your business's structured cabling, IT, software, telephones, and security systems. We partner with you to find the ideal solution to all of your office technology needs. Tell us your goals and we'll get you there. Find out more at lesolson.com. Les Olson IT.
JT from Woodson Bourbon and Whiskey, Hall of Famer Charles Woodson built this legend on the gridiron, and now he's taking the same dedication.
Is this any good?
New craft spirit
Have
line.
you-
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
So we went to Peter Luger's.
We're talking about Woodson Bourbon Whiskey, Magnum and I in here. It really is good.
Yeah.
It's fantastic,
We
actually.
went to Luger's, and one of the guys I was with ordered two glasses of McAllen,
Yeah, McGowan.
18-year-old
Yeah.
scotch. How much? No, your coffee. How much do you think? 2 glasses.
I would think 2 glasses of McCallum 18-year would probably cost you, let's say, $100 a glass. Yeah. By the way, was Peter Luger the best?
Oh my God, it was the best steak I've ever had.
Yeah,
in my
by
life.
far. That's great.
Like,
They opened one here, you know.
yeah, Caesar's. The shrimp cocktail, they were like lobsters. And the bacon, I mean, everything was.
I'm happy. Who'd you go with?
My buddy Eddie.
Good.
And then his friend John. But
Good.
like, glad I didn't have to pay.
Johnny Mac should be calling in.
Okay. Oh, that's probably him.
How about the YouTube live stream? I don't feel bad that we didn't do this 3-4 years ago. I don't, because it's a different world we're in now, but I like it now. Man. And again, this is pretty primitive for me when I'm doing it from the Raiders or somewhere else. We're going to make it good. We're going to have more memorabilia behind me. We're going to do all this, but I appreciate you being here. Here we go.
Brought to you by Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. One love.
Raising Cane's, one love. Kids are always in the drive-through. Kids are having a lot of fun, and they're Caniacs. Thanks to Raising Cane's. their proud partnership of us for the Super Bowl. We're live at Radio Row all next week. So I got a crew of guys I travel with every year to the Super Bowl, my whole career. What I've always thought it was right to do is bring your friends to the Super Bowl. At times I didn't have tickets for them, but I always had a hotel room. We always had parties to go to. And I met this guy in Miami a long time ago at a Super Bowl, and he's become one of my best friends. J-Mac Tickets. Johnny Mac joins me every year before the Super Bowl to set the market. J-Mac, my brother, how are you? Couldn't be better. You're coming in. I know you're coming in for 8 or 9 days, and I'll be seeing you a lot. And I'm disappointed today. I looked at they used to just call it cold weather. Now they have these atmospheric things they're calling it. We're going to have a couple of days of cold. It's starting today. We're going to have a little rain early in Super Bowl week, and then it should clean up around Super Bowl. How does weather play any role when it comes to Super Bowl tickets for the market? Yeah.
You and I have to go to a lot of these events. We have to wear a jacket, so just wear a blazer and a shirt, pair of jeans, and a scarf. If it's a little bit cold, yeah, we're good.
Johnny Mac joins us. So tell me about this, because I thought the Cowboys were coming to the Super Bowl. I thought the Dallas would have been the best thing to ever happen to the city of Las Vegas. Jerry Jones and his bus. Every Cowboy fan from America's team would have sold out Vegas just to Cowboy fans. They failed miserably. Then I thought Buffalo would be perfect here because they're close. And then I thought Detroit would bring in a large crowd. So tell me about the AFC Championship game, Baltimore, and how has the market moved since before that game to now?
Well, Baltimore is probably one of the most underrated NFL cities in football. They were diehard Colts. We go back even before you and I were born. The 1950 NFL Championship game between Johnny Unitas and Y.A. Tittle was the biggest game ever in football. It put the NFL on the map. And the team got stolen in the middle of the night to Indianapolis. They're great fans, and they rallied behind their Ravens. So those Colt fans are now Ravens fans. So they were diehard, and they would have showed up in Vegas in force.
Johnny Mac is our guest. J-Mac Tickets, one of the best and most accomplished ticket brokers, and my good friend. I'm telling you, J-Mac Tickets, if you want to get in. All right, walk me through Kansas City fans as they set the market compared to Niner fans, who I'm more familiar with, as they can drive in, and they have Silicon Valley money. They have unlimited wealth in the Bay Area compared to Kansas City.
Sure. Well, the demographics has changed a little bit on the 49er fan base. They're a lot younger now. And basically a lot of that Silicon Valley, that money, that .com money, is maybe not as interested in in football as much. I don't know. I don't know about Gen Z that much. But then again, yes, you're right, JT. They are traveling. They're coming. And, you look at home games in Santa Clara, they're all sold out, good energy. But it's a little bit different, than the old Candlestick 49er fans. You know that area very, very well. And but they're coming. But I was kind of tough on Chief fans, last year. They did not show up. But they maybe they shot their wad in Miami for the first time. Miami's an expensive Super Bowl. So maybe it's more of a conservative fan base. They're not putting everything on a credit card like everybody else in the United States is.
Oh, I like that.
It's a little different.
Oh, I like that. I like that. So everybody in this country is putting debt on their credit card. In this economy, Kansas City fans, Midwest fans, maybe not as much. Tell me about
thinking about their future more.
Yeah, I'm fair with that.
Thing,
All right, so tell me about what you're seeing on your computer. You have a computer in front of you with other ticket brokers around America. Sure. I'm in Vegas. Everybody's claiming it'll be the most expensive walk-in ticket on Super Bowl Sunday. Is that fair? Is that going to happen?
I would agree with that about 60%. Right now, it's about a $9,000 to $10,000 get-in, and that's just an upper level. But then there's not a lot of difference between the upper level and lower level end zone. Yes. So maybe 10,000, 11,000 for lower level end zone. But, I've seen it before. You and I were in Arizona when everything went crazy when it was Seattle and and New England, but that was more of a supply shock created by the market. A lot of other factors there. But I could. There's about a 40% chance that the tickets could come down.
All right, so now 9,000 to get in, but with your expertise in doing this a long time, when do things change? So assuming, just look at our friends. They come in and they're sitting there and they're drinking Thursday night,
Sure.
Friday,
Sure.
and they're getting more buzzed on Friday, and they're like, hey, man, I want to go to this game. And then it's Saturday, and they're calling you J-Mac tickets. Do you wait like a stock market crash or a pullback to Saturday, Sunday, game day, or do you jump in earlier in the week, midweek, because you think the price is going to get away from you?
Very, very good question. Like your crew with Brad and the guys, they have plenty of other options. They can hang with us and do some fun stuff. So that's their option. But, if tickets do come down, they can make the call. I would tell everybody in our media circle to wait a little bit. But if you're sitting there, like, hey, I'm coming to Vegas, it's bucket list, I want to go to the Super Bowl, I would say buy your tickets sometime about Monday or Tuesday, or definitely kind of make some decisions over the weekend.
All right, J-Mac, you're the best. I'll see you here. You're getting into town here coming up pretty quick here on Friday. Are you going to be here? I'll see you Friday night. You got it. There he is, Johnny Mac, J-Mac Tickets. Go follow him yourself on J-Mac Tickets on social media. So what was my takeaway from that conversation? Is this a bucket list Super Bowl for you? It is absolutely not for me. I've been to over 20 Super Bowls as a fan and media member. This is not a bucket list for me because I've seen every single football game, pro game ever played in that building. I think I'm going. If I don't go, no big deal. I got my friends in town. We'll be cozy. We'll have a great time. If you've never been to the Super Bowl, I would go to this one. Okay? I would go to this one. So if you got a $5,000 budget for one ticket, I would take that budget up to $7,000. 10 years from now, you'll never forget the $2,000 extra you paid to get in because you'll be able to say the rest of your life, I went to the first ever Super Bowl in Vegas. So that's how I'm torn on this. I could care less. I don't like these two teams. I don't care about this game. I'm not rooting for either one. I've been to every game at Allegiant Stadium. Blindfolded, I could get in and out of there. But I understand for everybody else who's listening around the global Raider Nation, if you want to go to a game and you want to go to the first ever Las Vegas Super Bowl, that'll be memorable. Will it be as memorable as Super Bowl I at the Rose Bowl? No. Will it be close? Yes. It will be close. That's why Mark Davis has nailed this vision of Las Vegas, Allegiant Stadium, the casino corridor. Okay, I wish we never left Oakland. But imagine if this game was played in Oakland the way Oakland looks right now. It never would have been played in Oakland, right? So the Raiders, the Raiders, never would have got a Super Bowl in Oakland. Never, because they never would have got a stadium. Now they got it. They moved the team, unfortunately, from Oakland to here. Took a couple of years for everybody to settle down. Settle down. I help with that. Settle down. You're going to like Vegas. Now we're going to get multiple Super Bowls. And hopefully the Raiders can play in a Super Bowl in their building. That's what I envision to see. Thanks to J-Mac Tickets, Johnny Mac, for jumping in. Dave Gosher at the top of the hour. He's going to join us. We're going to do some hockey talk. I'm going to jump off this live stream. We're going to come back tomorrow for a big show. I got a lot going on here coming up. We are about to announce, and I think I can announce it formally, that we are going to have a Friday Super Bowl remote on the deck at Caesars Palace. Big game weekend live radio show from Cafe Americano from the patio, and that is on February 9th from 12 to 2. To get me off of Radio Row, to do a remote in Vegas, only place I do it. I mean, I got a lot of partners I do it for, but when Caesars came to us with Modelo and said, hey, Friday afternoon, noon, on the outside deck at Caesars Palace Center Strip, come on. I mean, that's a bucket list for me. Hosting my show from the Super Bowl? Are you kidding me? What an honor. So that is a week from this Friday coming up. So that'll be good to get outside. Hopefully the sun will be booming and it'll be great. Dave Gosher at the top of the hour, a Golden Knights broadcaster. We'll talk to him about VGK. We weren't able to get to Chris Myers yesterday. We'll get to Chris from the NFL on Fox. And thanks to Johnny Mac. Oh, Levi Edwards is supposed to join us too. I'm just confirming the time. I'm reaching out to Vinny Bonsignor. He's down there having a good time. On the thread, Roxy says, my ticket to Super Bowl III was $12. Super Bowl III, $12. No, that's Super Bowl III. That's it. Raiders will host the Super Bowl. Technically, this show on the flagship is about the Raiders being in the Super Bowl. Thanks to our friends at M Resort Spa and Casino. They're hosting Ditka's party, the cigar party. It's on all my social media Thursday night of the Super Bowl. Come on by. All right, everybody. Appreciate you. This was an hour special today because we got some interviews, one in the can. We're going to bounce around a bit here, but thanks for doing this. We'll be doing it again tomorrow, same time, same JT channel. Everybody, please hit like now. Like this, please, and share it, and please subscribe. I think everybody's subscribing and doing a pretty good job with that, but if, can you check on that for everybody again, and have a great rest of the day.